Welcome to Maria Orsic's ritual. Remember, recover, return is her mantra. Hail to the great Maria, to the great Rhea, to the great Mo, all her names. The great Scorpio Vril Queen. We get on one knee, metaphorically, and thank you, Mother Mary, the true Mary. Hail, Maria. I love you. This is episode 4, and I left off last episode with my first encounter with the Missouri River Goddess. And the suggestion that I moved my family from one place to another because unconsciously I was getting closer to the river. I was actually getting closer to the river, and we moved to our present location, which is maybe a short walk, quarter mile from the Missouri River. And the eve of my birthday in 2011, I was told a short story that I moved to my present location because it brought me closer to the river, which brought me closer to Maria and made it easier for me to hear her voice. And that was very interesting to me because our first move, which was about 1.5 miles from the river, was based on the decision to buy the house I based on a dream I had in around 1995. And in this dream, there had been a earthquake in St. Louis, and the dream began with me starting from Florissant, the location near the river, and I actually lived in the city at the time I had the dream, and I, in the dream, had to make my way back to the city from Florissant. And I had to make it back to my spiritual comrade. And when the house in Florissant near the river became available, it was not a rational choice to choose this home, because homes in that area, the prices were going down, losing value. But I was a Christian at the time and believed I should be led by the Holy Spirit in this decision. And so I would get alone and pray, and that dream came to my mind. And the fact that I started the dream in Florissant made me know that I was supposed to live in Florissant. So we bought the house based on that dream. And so that night, the eve of my birthday, 2011, I was shown that, or I was told by the Missouri River Goddess that she gave me the dream, and she brought it to my mind, and she was the reason I moved there, which is a very interesting missing part of the data. A new revelation, a new perspective, and I felt very encouraged to keep going. So, this episode, I will try to explain a very complicated event in my life. The first official shamanic ritual that I would experience. And very interesting to me that it occurred very near the same time, early September, that I had the original UFO visit in my backyard when I was 7 years old. So I was reading and studying everything I could about shamanism, and there are lots of things said and taught about preparing for a 5-gram ritual, diet, intention. I personally did not find any of that to be very important. What I discovered was important was the courage to do it. I wanted to do it. And before I tell this, this experience, I believe I should tell my first shamanic or a psychedelic, however you want to say it, experience after 20 years of being away from it. And very, very nearly 20 years exactly. In the time I was waiting for the mushrooms, the same kind woman got me a 250 milligram marijuana chocolate bar. And when she handed it to me, she said, "My friend I got this from said, if you eat it all, it will be like tripping." And since I was on the hunt for mushrooms and to try Terrence McKenna's 5-gram challenge, I thought, okay, I will eat it all. And I will do it like Terrence McKenna recommended. Alone, dark room, and some music, some meditative music, perhaps, I thought. Well, I ate the whole bar, and my first glimpse at how, I should say, first revisiting of how powerful these beautiful magical plants can be. I was listening to a song, and it sounded like all the guitars bent a note at the same time, and the whole song went just for a few beats slower. It slowed down and bent out of tune, and I marveled. I was like, how can that be happening? How can my ears change reality? And I want to give some practical advice now for anyone who is seeking happiness. I, in this first experience, merely mimicked what I had been reading. I had been reading and watching documentaries and knew that shamans used sage to clean the atmosphere of spirits and, let's say, oppositional magic, curses, and things like that. And I knew that dancing helped bring on the visions and helped create energy to help you leave your body. I was fully aware that the ritual was a healing ritual for physical healing of the body, because everything is completely rational from your true self, and the practical sense that you can only be as happy as you are healthy was one of the very first things mentioned. So I did those things before I ate the chocolate bar. And back to that night, that ritual, I began to feel dizzy, and I lay down in the bed like Terrence McKenna would recommend, and just closed my eyes. And I started to panic just a little, and I thought, oh my God, maybe I have just eaten too much. I'm going to be sick. And I wondered at that moment if it was all a mistake and just it was going to be a night of throwing up and horror, you might say. So I closed my eyes, and for the first time in 20 years, not really by choice, like the previous 20-year mushroom trip, and this is what happened. I was seeing all kinds of beautiful geometry and colors, and it was juxtaposed with this, feeling of throwing up, and just I felt like I had drank a fifth of Jack Daniels or something, and I was just trying to settle down and not throw up. And out of this geometry came a circle of 5 or so skulls, all identical in neon colors, neon pink, neon aqua. And they were going around counterclockwise. And I just kind of smiled, and I was like, what are these? And right when I thought that, it was like they were alive, and they heard that thought. And one in my vision stopped directly in front of my face, like 2 feet from my face, and said, "Are you afraid?" And I immediately just checked myself, and I said, "No, I'm not. I don't feel afraid." And its mouth moved and said, "Good." And that gave way to a stage with a huge curtain, like an old-time theater. And as the curtains opened, a voice said, in a very theatrical circus announcer type voice, said, "Introducing the plant." And I knew that it meant the marijuana plant that I had deeply loved my whole life. And when the curtain had fully opened, it was two beautiful spinning balls of neon psychedelic energy, both going simultaneously counterclockwise, spinning. And it came from the two circles of energy that this is the marijuana plant. One circle is male, the other circle is female. And a beautiful childlike one of the voice defined purity to me at that moment. And the voice of the marijuana plant said to me, "I love you, and I have a message for you. As you see God, I see you. And I marveled at this statement. I said, "I don't understand. What do you mean?" I said, "I'm not God." And the child voice, it seemed to chuckle, like laugh a little, and it said, "You create things, songs, stories. You come up with things from nowhere. You are my God. You are like a God to me. As you see God, I see you. And my goal was to be ingested by you, to go into your DNA and live in my God forever." And I was like, wow, that's some sort of Jesus archetype story there, that the plant is giving its life to live forever, to help me, and me to help it live vibrationally in my DNA. And it said to me, "I love you for all the times you defended me, and you never spoke a bad word about me. I love you for that. Thank you." And I was so astonished. I was like, no, thank you. And it said to me, don't say thank you. If you understood what I am saying to you, you are like a God to me. When you understand, you will say, you're welcome. And I laughed to myself and said, I understand. And it said one more time to me, I love you for everything you've done for me, for the plant. Thank you. And I said back, you're welcome. And that gave way to the very introspective night where I ran to the bathroom several times, but never did throw up. And the vision gave way to one of the most important things that have ever happened to me. I seen two identical twin looking beings in my vision with my eyes closed. They were facing each other and talking. And it simultaneously, it was like they were one being in a mirror. And simultaneously, they looked over and said, he can see us now. It's your fault. And they were blaming each other. It's your fault. And they said, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in big trouble. We weren't supposed to let him see us. And I had a knowing in my mind, like, these two little demon trolls, they looked like little stereotypical Jewish trolls with their like long hook noses, short stocky bodies, short. And when they looked at me, both of them simultaneously in sync reached back and made the motion for throwing something at me. Simultaneously they did this, right in sync with each other, and it was a ball of white and orange energy, and it flew with speed and hit me right in the middle of the forehead. And when it did, it produced a like Polaroid picture of something. I don't want to get personal here because it's not about that. The point is, the picture was something they claimed I did that made me bad. And when I seen the picture, they were like, you did that, you're bad. And the first thing I said is, yeah, I did do that. I said, and I paused because I had been a Christian for so long and had believed for so long that I was a sinner and that all my, thoughts of my heart were corrupt and all the things the Bible says about the fallen, sinful nature of man. But something inside me was grinding against that. And I said to myself, is anyone there? What should I say? I don't know what to say to this. And a very strong male voice said to me, say, that's just part of the story. And I said to them, that's just part of the story. And when it did, it just shattered. The whole scene just exploded into pieces. And a new energy entered me that I had been waiting for and suffering without for so long. And I said to myself, yeah, that's just part of the story. My intentions were not bad. That does not prove I am a bad person, that I'm a sinner. Then I started yelling in the spirit, I'm not bad. I'm good. Fuck you. And the rest of the night literally was spent in a back and forth battle with invisible beings trying to stop me from breathing, trying to make me vomit. And by the morning, I did fall asleep eventually. And by the morning, when I woke up, I felt like a warrior who had been victorious by merely surviving the battle. And I felt like a new person. And that was about 6 months before my birthday experience, which about a month later, I would find the courage after 20 years to go back to what I thought was a extremely frightening place, the mushroom experience. So I prepared by cleansing the whole house with incense and sage. And what I mean by that, I didn't know what I was doing at first. I was just going through the motions because I had read this is how you do it. And I would command anything and everything that wasn't me or my ancestors out of the area, out of the house. I would use crystals around the bed to provide a energetic barrier. this just intuitively made sense to me. And I would find out why I was doing that. So I work 6 days a week, so the only night to do it was Saturday, which I did not know was Saturn night, Kronos night, Maria's husband, Kronos, the warrior of time. And it's also the Jewish Sabbath, where plenty of evil goes down in the form of child sacrifice and horrible things. And so a Saturday night in late or early September, I brewed up a 5-gram mushroom tea, and I entered my room, and I sensed it was a very serious thing. But at the same time, as I took the glass in my hand, a other me in me just said to me, it's not a big deal. Just drink it down. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain. And so I drank it down in a couple drinks. And I lit a joint and began to dance to some repetitive trance, no vocals. I did all of this by just feeling. I felt like, that was the music I was supposed to listen to. And it hit me very quickly. And as I laid down and closed my eyes, I have to stop here and tell you some background of who I am and who my eternal comrade is, and how this was revealed to me when I was in first grade. The first day of first grade, Mrs. Artist was my teacher with the fitting name. I was a little worried the very first day because as I sat in my class and looked around, I did not have my couple friends that were in my kindergarten class. They weren't there in my first grade class. And I went to lunch wondering, who should I sit with? So I took my lunch, and there was groups of kids sitting, and there was one kid sitting at a table by himself, a round table. So I sat down across from him and didn't say anything. I started to eat, and I don't think that I spoke. I was a very shy child, and I was also content inside myself, and I wasn't needy for friends, really. And so I went outside to the playground, and I was standing at the edge, wondering again, like, where are my friends? Who should I hang out with? What should I do? Am I going to be alone? The whole first grade, when suddenly a kid I did not know tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, what's your name?" "My name's Scott." I said, "My name's Joe." He said, "I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be friends with us, our little group, and you're supposed to eat with us. We got one more place at our table, and tomorrow you eat with us." And I smiled inside and was so happy. It was a literal prayer answered. It was like I was standing there praying, "Will you send me my people in this school?" And within 5 minutes, I was tackling some kid out on the field and enjoying myself. And that kid, Scott Almas, became my lifelong best friend and would be revealed in the ritual to be my eternal comrade. That there's a term in Irish culture, Anam Cara, which means eternal friendship, and Scotty is my eternal friend. And from that day until the day he left this reality, we were best friends, and there was never a day we weren't, or that we were on bad terms ever. And I want to say, for the background, we went through all of these spiritual phases together: Rastafarianism, Christianity, and on June I think it's June 10th or June 9th, 2010, my comrade committed suicide and left this world. So 1 year and a few months after that, I took 5 grams of mushrooms, laid down in the bed, closed my eyes, and just flew out of my body. I felt as if I was falling. At first I was afraid and was flailing my arms in my inner vision. And then I fell for so long, I lost the fear and I forgot that I was falling and not floating. But it was as if I was falling and I hit the ground and stood up